Two more Spartans through the portal, both on the defensive side of the ball. And that basketball team, my goodness gracious, they just keep rolling and rolling and rolling.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
NFL playoffs, yes, they are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now, new customers, yes, you can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, happy holidays, by the way, to everyone out there. Hope it's a good start to your holiday season. Let's finish this year strong. And hey, thanks a lot for finishing this year with us here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white, still 5 days a week right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below. Right now, 8 commits out of the portal for Michigan State. Comment below which player you are most excited for amongst the new additions. Now, right now, yeah, if you were a little just wrapped up in holiday shopping over the weekend, or you just got, too busy with the end of the year work crunch, I get it, man. If you miss these two guys, well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Grady Kelly, your new defensive lineman, and NiJhay Burt, your new defensive secondary player. Now, kicking things off, Grady Kelly, coming in from Florida State by way of Colorado State. This man has something about state schools with him. Started his career over at Colorado State, just like we said, and then, yes, just 1 year at Florida State. Now, let's talk about that 1 year at Florida State for Mr. Grady Kelly. Now, he had the 4th most interior defensive line snaps at Florida State, and, well, look, not a good year for the Seminoles. That's actually one of the worst stories of the college football season. They were flatly terrible. They took the nation by storm in the first month. For all the wrong reasons. My goodness gracious, he got shellacked in Ireland, and oh my goodness, got dummied up at home by Boston College. You guys already know that story. But you know what? Like, Joshua Farmer is a guy that he played behind. Darrell Jackson is another guy Grady Kelly played behind. Now, Joshua Farmer, he's getting graded out as like a day 3 NFL draft pick. So, not an All-American by any means, but still, a guy with NFL aspirations. Darrell Jackson, he actually just announced that he is coming back to Florida State. He was also going to get somewhere around like a day 2 or a day 3 NFL draft day grade. But nevertheless, that's who Grady Kelly was behind. Now, you know what? If we could start speaking highly of our guy Grady Kelly right now, 2nd highest graded run defense. Amongst the 5 interior defensive linemen that got 100-plus snaps for Florida State. So that's a long way of saying that when it came to running the ball against the Seminoles, he was the 2nd best interior defensive line. Now, he would be the 2nd best graded against the run, if you included our defensive lineman from last year. Ruquan Buckley was the only guy that would have graded higher than him, according to Pro Football Focus, if you took all that into account. Now, last year against the run, Grady Kelly, he graded out as a smooth, nice 69 on Pro Football Focus. Ruquan Buckley, not too much higher than that, but still, but that's one thing that, Michigan State was solid at, defending the run. We'll get into more of that later, but right now, let's stick with Grady Kelly. He had 11 stops on defense last year. Now, Pro Football Focus, they grade that as, one of their many stats on their beautiful website as a play that disrupts the offense completely, just breaks down everything that the offense was trying to do. He had 11 of those plays. Now, for Michigan State, only Daquan Dowse got more than 11 stops on defense last year, on the defensive line, that is. Now, let's go further back, because Grady Kelly has done more than his time at Florida State. 2023 at Colorado State, started all 12 games down there, graded as a 72.24 Colorado State. That was the 8th best for defensive linemen in the Mountain West. So, you can understand, enters the portal. Okay, I see Florida State. Hey, well, they just went undefeated last year, and yes, they are losing a lot of talent, but that's a program that, dang it, I want to be a part of. I want to be playing Power 4 football. He went there, understanding that he might be behind a few guys with NFL aspirations, and that's how the season went for him. But if you do want to go back 2 years, 18 pressures. I know we haven't talked a lot about run pressure right now. I'm sorry, pass pressure right now, I should say. We haven't talked a lot about rushing that quarterback, but he did a good job at that in the Mountain West 2 years ago. Again, I'll say 18 pressures. He had 3 last year, so a significant drop down, but he also had 24 stops when he was at Colorado State. Now, 24 stops, well, that's third most amongst Mountain West defensive linemen. So, like we were talking about earlier, guys, Michigan State defensive line and the defensive front by and large, sure, were they a little flawed last year? Well, yeah, certainly. That's why we're not talking about a bowl game anytime soon. More so for the pass rush, though. The run stopping was actually fine for Michigan State last year. They were 33rd in the nation at letting their opponents just get to 3.72 yards per carry. And that's also not facing cupcake teams too, right, guys? Michigan State in their Big Ten schedule, they face the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and then 10th, 12th, and 15th rush offenses in the Big Ten. So, if you weren't following along there, don't blame you. That was a lot of numbers. Of their 9 games that they played in the Big Ten, 6 of those were in the upper half of the Big Ten. They faced the 3rd through 8th ranked Big Ten rushing team, and they still played, pretty well against the run. We saw that throughout the year. They had minimal hiccups overall in games total. The Oregon game was certainly one of them, namely the first half of the Oregon game. But outside of that, Michigan State, okay, they did pretty solid against the run. Now, unfortunately, you are losing guys like Jordan Turner, who was amazing against the run last year. Daquan Dowse, specifically for the interior defensive line right there. He was solid against the run. If you guys want to name more, Cal Halliday's another guy that we know is strong against the run. But what do you have returning? You got your Wayne Matthews, your Jordan Halls, Darius Snow just announced that he's going to return for a 19th year of college football, which good for him. I do wonder what a really healthy offseason going into next year can do for Darius Snow. Did pretty well at the end of last year. That's going to be for a different episode, the Darius Snow conversation. But yeah, sure, Ben Roberts, okay, flash at times. Alex Van Sumeren, absolutely flash at times. I would assume they're your starting defensive lineman, but you do need to make sure that you still keep the run defense a strength here going into next year, guys, right? I don't think I'm going out on a limb saying that. You do that with Grady Kelly in theory. Again, guys, this is a guy that got the 4th most defensive lineman interior defensive lineman snaps for Florida State last year. Showed it at Colorado State. Didn't have a ton of time to do it at Florida State, but when he did, he made it count, relatively speaking. So, hey, just trying to bolster the defensive line depth right now. We will get into more defensive players. NiJhay Burt, our newest defensive secondary player here in a hot second. But first, you need to tuck your ears off about Rocket Money. That is right, guys. Now, did Rocket Money help find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Well, it's happened to me. All right, I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Now, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in cancel subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using the app's premium features. We're talking like their goals feature, for example. I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future thanks to that feature right there. No more stressing out about budgeting every month. And guys, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Also, FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. And the NFL playoffs, they are here. And if you're a Lions fan like myself, you're already stressing about it. But hey, there's still time to enjoy the regular season. That's right, all 3 games that are left right over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because, well, right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways that you could pick up a W for NFL Sundays, or Wednesdays coming up here with the Christmas Day games. I love betting on whatever player's going to score a touchdown, which, by the way, if you're listening to this on time, for the Lions game on Sunday against the Bears, I like Sam Laporta. I like Sam Laporta a lot, actually, in this game. Or, hey, you know what? How many points each team will score? It is thrilling, and they keep it hot with the same game parlays. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. NiJhay Burt, your latest Michigan State Spartan in the secondary. Now, he comes out of Eastern Illinois, 5'11", 185-pound. He plays the corner, and he started all 12 games last year for Eastern Illinois. Not the strongest season at their level. I think they've finished out at 3-9. Meant to jot that down in my notes, but nevertheless, not above 500. But hey, you want a diamond in the rough. You want someone that is shining on a team that didn't do great overall. Well, if you treat Pro Football Focus like the Bible, and obviously we reference them all the time on this show, then you're going to love this number. He was the highest graded Eastern Illinois defensive player, all right, at 77.8. Okay. Now, this is the second secondary player added in the portal this cycle. Joshua Eaton out of Texas State. He is the other one here. So, okay, that's the second time that, Michigan State has gotten a guy out of the secondary, experienced, like Joshua Eaton. He's about to be in his 6th year of college, it seems like. That is what you are looking at right here for the strategy for Michigan State. Guys that have proven it at a lower level. Okay, like NiJhay Burt, for example. I'll say it again. Eastern Illinois. Not fighting Illini, Illinois, but Eastern Illinois. Okay. We've seen the other strategy, right? Because by and large in the portal, there's two different strategies. It's all right, well, can we go get a guy that played Power 4 football that maybe has lost his starting spot? He wants to find a new home. Well, let's give that a try, right? Like with Amir Speed, for example, he lost his starting spot at Georgia, or Ronald Williams at Alabama, for example. Or, hey, how about Chester Kimber out of Florida? Like, hey, you know what? Not good enough to start in the SEC. Well, you are going to be better than what we have up here. I actually didn't really necessarily disagree with that strategy back then, but clearly not a difference-making strategy, because Amir Speed against all odds, no disrespect to him, there's no good way to say this. He did get drafted, but more so for a special teams player, of course. Like defensively, it didn't really work out. Ronald Williams was fine here. Kimbra, okay, sure, whatever. I do wonder what this strategy will do for Michigan State. Not going for guys that lost their starting jobs at Power 4 levels. And Ed Woods is not one of these people. I didn't leave his name out by accident. He would have started at Arizona State last year. I firmly believe that. Kenny Dillingham, the head coach there, said so himself, and I don't think that's coach speak when you see a guy leave your program. But nevertheless, you guys get the point I'm trying to make. I do wonder what this will do when you're getting guys that were solid and proven and experienced at the FCS level and sliding them up. Now, do I expect some, setbacks here for these guys? Of course. I don't expect NiJhay Burt to come in here and, seatbelt every single person in the Big Ten. I do think there will be a little bit of a drop down, but will it be that much? Because these guys have proven it. They've done it. All right, now is your next step to get in here and prove yourself. Because, in this secondary room, we could use some older experienced guys, right? I mean, blended with the younger guys like Jeremiah Hughes, Andrew Brinson, for example. I mean, so guys like Joshua Eaton and NiJhay Burt, they're going to come in, be the older experienced guys in the room, and they have already produced at another level. So let's see if their stock can keep going up as players. I don't hate that strategy from this football staff right now. So again, guys, we've seen the other, portal strategy, which is mostly done, but I'm ready to see what the FCS strategy can do here. Now let's switch to basketball really quick here. Your Michigan State Spartans, 86, the Florida Atlantic Owls, 69. That's right. Let that be a lesson to everyone that you don't come in here to East Lansing for a football and basketball season and then beat us twice as a group of five or a mid-major school, whatever you want to classify that as. Michigan State, they got it done many ways. They got 20 trips to the foul line, and I say that because that's been a big story here for Michigan State right now. They have been as good at getting to the free throw line as they have in not even since 2019, that Final Four year, even a little bit before that. They really struggled to get to the line in the last few years here. Their bench was superb yet again, 43 bench points against the Owls. And let's talk about them. the man of the hour, Coen Carr. Now, I'm not going to say, if it wasn't for Coen Carr, we would have lost this game. But if it wasn't for Coen Carr, this game is a lot sweatier, guys. I mean, because, yes, he had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 1 block. But especially in the second half, it seemed like those moments came when FAU was starting to get their footing in the game a little bit. But no, I'm going to block your shot right here. I'm going to go down. I'm going to splash a 3-pointer home. And while I don't, consider that a fully ingrained part of his game just yet, just after one shot, it was the exclamation point on a fantastic afternoon from Coen Carr. What else can you say about him other than just he's not human, he's an alien, he's just a overly just a joyous human being to watch. He is climbing up my boards and a lot of other people I know that I was talking to during this game. Their boards of favorite Spartans of all time. Is he the best? No, maybe not as, efficient as Cassius Winston, but my God, just for entertainment. And let's not just not recognize the growth that he's taken from last year to this year. He's not just the, freak show dunker. He's worked on his game, guys. He can slash to the lane now with some purpose. He can finish at the rim. And more so than just dunks. The Coen Carr story, I thought he would, grow a little bit from freshman to sophomore year. Not like this, though. He's been extraordinary this year for Michigan State so far. So, yeah, 17 points off the bench for him. Fears and Akins, each with 13 points. Now, I do want to stick on Jeremy Fears for a little bit here because that was one of my concerns going into this game is that FAU, they play with a good amount of tempo. Jeremy Fears has really struggled against that so far. You saw that in the Memphis game, the Samford game, the end of the North Carolina game. He looked comfortable. He looked incredibly comfortable tonight, actually. I say it again, 13 points, 8 assists for him, just 1 turnover. I did think it was interesting that FAU really just did not press at all at almost any point of the game. But, hey, you know what? It was a really good step forward for Jeremy Fears, a guy that, of course, the way he ended last season, still trying to get his feet entirely under himself as it, pertains to ramping up towards Big Ten play, which will start up in just 2 more games here, guys. So, yes, with that starting up sooner than we all know it, it's good to see that, okay, he's getting a little more comfortable with the fast pace of college basketball, something that he missed after Christmas of last year. Jackson Kohler, not quite done talking about him and his rebounding yet. 12 rebounds this afternoon for them offensively. And if you missed the last episode of Locked On Spartans, we talked about Jackson Kohler. We talked about his rebounding. Not just, okay, he's averaging 6 rebounds a game, we'll call it. The defensive rebounding percentage is what we were hung up on right here. And that's the amount of times that he comes down with the ball. It paints a better picture than just rebounds per game, right? Going into this game, he was rebounding defensively. 30.1% of all boards was going to him defensively. And then we looked at the numbers. It's oh my God, since 2008 at least, that's when they started tracking the stat, defensive rebounding percentage. This would be the best season at 30.1% of all time for a Michigan State Spartan. He's on a historical clip right now. That's how good that is. After tonight, he's only raised that a little bit. He's actually now at 30.5%, which is just extraordinary on the defensive end of the glass. He's also obviously cleaned it up on the offensive side, 4 offensive rebounds for him. Frankie Fiddler, 10 points, 2 of 5 shooting, and I get it is what it is with Frankie Fiddler at this point, and there is something to be said about this. And I was having this conversation with a good group of Michigan State fans over the weekend. There's something to it that this kid killed it at Omaha, right? He was obviously a highly sought-after transfer. He got to pick between Michigan State, Wisconsin, Nebraska. I forgot the 4th school, irrelevant at this point. But you know what? I'm sure he thought that he would really have a really strong start to this season, even taking that leap from Omaha to Big Ten basketball. I'm not calling it a bust, of course, but it has not gone probably the way that he's wanted to. But he also hasn't, been a drama queen about it. He hasn't fussed about it. He's gone from a starter to now a bench player, still playing his game, still getting to the line a ton. And I still think it can work here in the long run. But just being an all-around team player, understanding his role, and in a world where college basketball is filled with a lot of drama, especially with transfer portal players, you're not getting that out of Frankie Fiddler. So, yes, I mean, 10 points. I don't mean to be all like, just waxing poetically about everything, but I think that there is something to be said about that. So right now, Michigan State, both in the top 35 in both offensive and defensive efficiency, top 20 in rebounding percentage as a team on both sides of the floor, offensive and defense. Up next, Monday. Not this Monday, unfortunately. It's another long break between games. It will be the 30th against Western Michigan. That's right, the Dwayne Stevens Bowl kicking off here in what feels like 3 months from now. That's a long break. We got to. I do not like having 2 9-day breaks in the same season. I feel like the break between the last Big Ten game, Nebraska, and then Oakland was forever. Now here we go again. But whatever. Enough of that whining, guys. We will be back on Monday. We'll talk about the college football playoff. I got some thoughts on that. But until then, hey, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Love you all. Go Green.